Hi everyone, welcome back to Stormdance Television. In this video, I break down the threefold judging model by explaining it through a machine learning concept known as the bias-variance trade-off. The threefold system can be applied to assess any type of performance, actually. Once its framework is understood and practiced, it becomes intuitive over time. Now, we increasingly see people attempting to copy or modify the system. They often believe that minor amendments won't have significant consequences, but without a thorough understanding of how the model works, even small changes can easily lead to unintended and disastrous outcomes. Therefore, I'm explaining it today by using the bias-variance trade-off concept. Now, let's begin with the target, which represents the sphere of any kind of subject. Everything within this circle is considered the subject of scrutiny. It encompasses all aspects relevant to the subject. The center represents the truth. As we move further outward from the center, it becomes individual perspectives and beliefs. Okay? This means that when a judge delivers a verdict after a battle, we expect the decision to be precise and accurate. Bullseye. So how do we get there? Let's start by examining variance. When dealing with a judge who hasn't assessed many performances and lacks sufficient knowledge or experience, their decisions can be described as uninformed. Judges like that would hit the target mostly by chance rather than skill. The circumstance that new and significant pieces of evidence constantly emerge, but not having the ability to filter and structure the information by relevance creates great insecurity. This lack of experience leads to decisions that are scattered all over the place and that are inconsistent. They result in high variance. Also, the lack of consistency stems from the fact that the decisions are based more on gut feeling than on rational structured thought. Any continuation without a hierarchy of nested orders will result in inconsistent outcomes and fail to provide meaningful feedback. In other words, if someone tells you one thing today and then changes their opinion on the same subject in the same context the next day, it naturally raises doubt and uncertainty. Some people claim that judging dance battles is mostly subjective, but that's really not the case. Such statements often come from a lack of understanding about the essential elements required for proper assessment. The target of judging is shaped by context, meaning its significance depends on the observer's priorities. These are made of specific attributes or characteristics of the performance. Of course, these priorities are not all equally important. They form hierarchies of values, which are then organized into a model with commonly understood terminology, which is then altogether established by the community. I know that a community can be defined by various factors. In this case, I am talking about interest-based communities, like a dance community, for example, since they share common core values. So, asking novices about the importance of a particular subject often results in high variance. In our target circle, variance is represented by the distance between decisions. The positive side to this is that it helps create a broader spectrum of perspectives. Still, a spectrum built on uninformed opinions is inherently weak and lacks coherence. So, of course, it is the practitioners who are usually the most experts of a given subject. They would be capable of providing the best assessments, so we should ask them. However, when you ask them, you might be surprised by the outcome. Quite often, you get a response like this. We often assume that experts are automatically better than novices, but that is definitely not always the case. For example, when experts develop their skills in isolation without external feedback, they can develop preferences, which is problematic. Preferences, in essence, are biases, and it's crucial for judges to recognize these biases and actively keep them in check. Here are a few examples. Imagine you've developed your expertise within a group that focuses deeply on a specific aspect of a subject. Not only will you understand that detail better than those outside the group, but you'll probably also assign it more importance than others might, right? This often happens with judges representing certain hotspots of the art. Growing up in such an environment can instill strong confidence in the local understanding of what is considered important. It can also easily lead to the subconscious representation of that group's identity in their judgments. We can easily call that a group bias. Another example. Most breakers are autodidacts, meaning they are self-taught. This means they decided for themselves what to learn and what to ignore. Without someone to guide them through all the aspects of the dance style, they are likely to miss out on some vital information here. As a result, they may develop blind spots about certain aspects that others consider both relevant and legitimate. It's similar to how some people might give you strange looks for not knowing how to eat with chopsticks, even though they were never taught proper table manners for using cutlery in other cultures, or the other way around, of course. We can call that a self-referential bias. One more. Some highly experienced older experts may believe their views have stood the test of time, having proven themselves correct over the years. This often leads to the assumption that further developments in the broader field will bring only minor changes. This is a classic symptom of confirmation bias. What's significant is that a lot of these experts, when asked, will confidently state that they aimed correctly and therefore claim instead that the target needs to be moved. This often stems from what we call a certainty bias, where individuals view everything from a single perspective, convinced of their own correctness. Anyway, the reality is there is diversity in perspectives and approaches. Moving the target sparked an idea. Let me show you. Let's shift the Overton window, or rather the circle, to align with the most frequently mentioned and therefore most important aspects of informed thought in breaking. That is basically what we did. Let me explain. We decided to gather input on all the descriptive words considered important in breaking and then organized them into groups. For some groups, the most important focus is on creativity. This involves progressing from foundational techniques to developing originality, expressing individuality through personal style, flavor, character, and personality, as well as showcasing spontaneity, such as the ability to improvise and adapt, among other aspects. So looking at that part, we can see it is all about artistic qualities. Let's shift the Overton window to prioritize these aspects now. Sure, it looks unbalanced now, but it won't once we continue identifying other legitimate attributes and characteristics. We also identified several important characteristics related to the physical aspects, which formed another circle. This circle primarily focuses on technique and its execution. For breakers, athleticism is a key factor encompassing speed, strength, and agility. It also includes body control, such as balance and spatial control, such as form and dimensional use. Dynamics are another critical element, along with variability, which is expressed through a variety of movements and expressions. In essence, this section emphasizes the physical qualities. Now, let's shift the Overton window accordingly, and this is the result. The final part, located in the bottom left of the model, that's where it's all empty now, focuses on performance, structure, and musicality. Here, words like impact, surprise, blow-ups, and highs and lows come to mind, along with concepts like authenticity and transcendence. In music, we look for elements such as rhythm, coherence, structure, texture, and accentuation. Once again, we shift the Overton window, and in our case the circle, to prioritize these called interpretive qualities and observe the result. Now we have three circles. Looking at them together, we realize they represent the entire spectrum, okay? So each circle on its own forms a sphere that overlaps and blends with the others, creating significant interconnectedness. At the same time, the spheres remain distinct, allowing for structured assessments without overwhelming or cognitive abilities. Now you can also see why individuals considered expert judges must be educated, trained, and certified before evaluating high-level competitions where much is at stake. The threefold model acts as a constant reminder of key areas of importance that are often overlooked. This is what happens when you combine the perspectives of novices and experts, exchange ideas between them, and create a comprehensive spectrum of values. Training judges to assess performances using the model aligns with the concept of the bias-variance trade-off, helping to shift biases towards a more holistic and balanced knowledge base. Now let's go back to the model. Why 3, you ask? Research consistently shows that collectively as humans, 3 is our natural limit when it comes to working memory. It represents the number of things that we can typically hold in our minds at once, making it our natural attentional boundary. Look around and you will see the world is often mentally structured in 3s. For example, good, bad, and ugly, rock, paper, scissors. All good things come in 3s. 3 is the magic number. We structure stories in 3 parts, and many great philosophers have developed frameworks based on 3-part structures, such as Hegel's dialectics, Gadamer's hermeneutics, Aristotle's modes of persuasion, Kant's 3 critiques. Even in everyday expressions, we find this triadic structure. Blood, sweat, and tears, for instance. In science, we see this pattern too. The 3 classical states of matter, solid, liquid, gas, or RGB, red, green, blue, the primary colors of light. Let's take a closer look at the color spectrum and compare it with the threefold. Just as you can look at an image and identify colors within the spectrum, you can also analyze and categorize qualities in a performance. These qualities can then be allocated to specific domains. Here are once again the key aspects of the threefold system. The model is based on direct comparison. We use a holistic approach that allows participants to perform freely without imposing rigid criteria. Each battle is unique and evaluated based on its own context. Therefore, the system is descriptive and not prescriptive. Judges respond to what they observe in the contestants' performances, identifying key indicators and mapping them to the 3 domains, which are represented by 3 crossfaders. These function as scales. The judges analyze and compare the magnitude of what they have seen by adjusting these crossfaders gradually. This ensures a comprehensive and balanced evaluation. For the dance style breaking, the domains are called physical qualities, which generally represents the body, which is researched by the questions what and where. The next would be artistic qualities, which generally represents the mind, which is researched by the questions how and who. And finally, we have interpretive qualities, which generally represents the soul and which is researched by the questions why and when. If you want more information about the interpretation and the assessments of performances, feel free to subscribe to the channel, get my book Think Breaking, or contact the DAN, which is short for Dance Education Network, please. Thank you for watching and see you soon.